Okay, welcome to the Benzo Rehab Dungeon, episode 41. I am your host, Michael Deebs. Joining me is Danko Suvin from the Instagram handle at DankToLose. It is the 30th of April, 2021. John, unfortunately, has been put on administrative leave this week due to saying an insensitive remark about the African-American people.
It's true.
So he's been suspended without pay, by the way, because we have higher standards than the police do. With that out of the way, Danko, how have you been this week? Let's bear in mind that we've had to go through a lot. We had a lot of HR meetings over John's discrepancy, I guess.
I mean, I'm doing okay, all things considered. I will not take back what I've said about the Greeks, but I will agree that John has made some mistakes, as have all of the Mediterranean people. So really, I mean, what are you going to do? You can't put them all on leave, except for the Greeks. All Greeks are actually on administrative leave.
I thought that they were,
yeah.
There was a whole thing about that, right?
Giannis Varoufakis really, he made it happen. God bless.
A true king, the last Greek king.
He is a king. If you know, I'm kind of weird about that nomenclature, right? Is everyone calling one another king on the internet? But
sure,
Giannis Varoufakis, he's a king.
Verified king.
That's true. Yeah.
So we're joking, obviously.
What do you mean?
Greeks? No.
Yeah. No.
John is actually on a camping trip, and we wish him the best as he explores nature and maybe the inner depths of his mind as he's out there.
I wish him well. I don't know about the best, but you know.
I hope he has a complicated time that ends up with some personal growth. How about that?
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Okay, cool. Real quick question for you, actually, is how do you sign off on emails? I guess it varies.
I do regards.
Regards.
Yeah, in the professional world, I do regards.
Yeah.
If I'm sending an email to like a cherished friend of mine or something, I'll say like yours truly, or I'll put like some personalized note like fucking love you, or something like that. You know, like
I almost invariably just say best.
Best is a good one.
Yeah, but I've been
actually
told
one of my favorite people to work with at work. Her little sign off thing is best. So I think
best is good, but I've been told that it's a little cold, even though you're literally wishing someone the best. But I guess, I mean, maybe you're the wrong person to ask about this.
No, because I'm a regards person,
literally
which is
regards.
Which is even colder.
It's like signing off with all due respect. Oh, well, that's a great way to kind of to bookend it is with all due respect.
With all due respect.
Body paragraph. Regards. That's good. That's very good. Anyway, that's what we're going to talk about this entire episode.
Right?
Guys,
yeah, that's what this episode
we sign off on
I
emails.
queued up this image of George W. Bush for no reason.
With all due respect.
With all due respect.
Regards.
Which he is due, maybe none. I don't know. Real quick,
better painter than Hitler, worse painter than Hitler. Say what you will about George W. Bush, he is a worse painter than Hitler.
See, the thing that always conflicts me about Hitler's paintings, is that he's got a very delicate touch to them. Like it's very the word I'm looking for. Very like technically good. Like all the line
Right.
work is really good, all the perspective is really good. It's just boring because he's just like painting like buildings and stuff like that.
Yeah, which there's nothing wrong with painting buildings and like landscapes, but
No,
yeah,
but he's doing it in like a very
it's got
clinical way where, you know.
right. It's got the same thing going on as someone who's playing the piano but plays everything without any kind of like affect or inflection, and everything's
Exactly.
like
Yeah. There's
mathematical.
no aesthetic flourish or anything like that.
He does paint a little anti-Semitic goat in the background of all of them. I've noticed. Just there's always
Does he?
one in the background. No, but
Oh, I was like, I've studied Hitler's paintings, and
it
that's not
always has
true.
a little
That's not
speech
true.
bubble with a slur in it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's always got a rat-like figure in the background, harassing an eagle. um.
Oh,
Anyways,
excellent.
before we
Yeah,
start getting into
yeah. Speaking
all
of
this,
paintings,
yeah. Speaking of paintings, not really. We
no.
have some big interviews coming up. We have the 7th. So next week we have the Instagram user at Depths of Wikipedia is going to be
Hell
joining
yes.
us
I'm
to
so
talk
excited for that
about
one.
Jordan Peterson's second book, which is the 12 Rules for Life, the first 12 Rules for Life book.
We're
And
working our
then
way backwards.
yeah, and then on the 21st we have Sacri.legio is going to be joining us, and he is I would almost say a Pete Buttigieg expert to some regard.
Seems like it.
He's
Yeah.
read all the books and seen all the movies
Dreadful.
several times from what he said. So
Movies?
there is some form of documentary
Oh,
out about
of
Pete.
course there is. And
Yeah.
it just has high hopes playing the entire time in the background.
I think so.
It just gets a little
Probably.
louder and
Yeah,
quieter. Yeah.
that's got to be what it is. I haven't seen it, and that's actually one of the reasons that I've kind of stayed away from talking about Mr. Butt Egg, is because we knew that this interview was coming at some point, and I think he's an important person to talk about in the context that he represents a lot of the new Democratic up and coming leadership. So pretty excited to get into that and go into why he's a terrible neoliberal shill. That's a huge indicator of where the professional managerial class is and where the Democratic Party is. So again, that's the 7th for at Depths of Wikipedia, and then the 21st for Sacri.legio. And so the topic for today is the media whitewashing of war criminals and genuine bastard people.
I mean, we don't keep war criminals around that much. I can't think of any war criminals that have stayed in power for
this is
ever,
sarcasm,
my
isn't
entire
it?
life.
So
I
we have the George W. Bush redemption tour is going pretty strong. I've noticed, and
he gives black ladies candy.
Jesus Christ. See, America, can't we all just get along? War criminal family to war criminal family, getting along despite their color differences and all their same ties to the military industrial complex. Can't we just get along?
I mean, it's interesting seeing so many characters all have the same devil on their shoulder. Like it's always Kissinger is just kind of like hiding in the background somewhere. Just, I mean, if we just got rid of him, I feel like everything would be perfect. No, that's not true. But but think about the change. It would just be butt judges and stuff.
Which
it wouldn't.
I don't think that's true, and I'm not even for that, anyways. Like that, I wouldn't even.
For getting rid of Kissinger.
Oh no! I just mean I wouldn't see a bunch of butt judges as an improvement.
Oh no, that's not an improvement at all. No. CIA plants versus people that put in CIA plants.
Right. Skips a step, I guess, but
right.
So, anyways, the George W. Bush redemption tour has been going on. This is a good article from the New York Magazine. And it's titled George W. Bush Can't Paint His Way Out of Hell: The Chilling Spectacle of Watching the Political Class Redeem a Criminal Again. And it's by Sarah Jones. She talks a little bit about his art, which is dog shit. Actually, we can probably.
Is that what he uses? I thought it was oils.
Yeah. Where
Sorry,
were you
that was
saying?
no dog shit.
Oh, I was like, yeah, I think it is oils, and I was like, maybe it says acrylics in here somewhere. I don't know. I thought I read the article, but I guess not.
It is appropriate that he's misusing oil.
Yeah, right.
That's a war joke. It's a joke about war.
That's a joke about war. So the new book that George Bush has come out with is called Out of Many One, which is just English for E pluribus unum.
Right.
And if we can find some of these in. They're not even like technically good portraits, and the way he's
or this his portraits of soldiers or his ones of immigrants.
This is his portraits of immigrants.
That's cool.
You know, George Bush, the famous pro-immigrant president.
He was a weird one about immigration. I mean, they're all weird, but because they're all like psychos. But
he was weird in theory. He was weird in what he said, but he basically just carried the same policies forward as any other president. And
it was a little schizophrenic. Like there was opening and closing, and kind of strange. All the while he was like giving speeches in Spanish, and it was, he's a really bizarre character. In all regards, but certainly in that regard. Ooh, he's improved. He has improved.
Let's not detract from that.
That is how time works, I guess.
Yeah, you spend enough time in. Well, I guess that's all we can see without buying the book.
Go back up. Go back up to the top there. Because really, I mean, this is something that always drives me crazy, because I'm not a great artist in terms of like visual art. Per se, but it drives me crazy when people are so bad at perspective, but they still like put the art out there. Like I feel like perspective is one of the things that's like embarrassing enough to fuck up that like you wouldn't want to publish your work.
Right. Like I've struggled with this a lot because I've studied art and I've done paintings before, and if anything's off to me, I freak out, and I won't release something that I see anything wrong with. I wish I had this kind of confidence. I wish I had this kind of confidence is what I'm really getting at.
Right. Like there are only two here that like seem like the perspective is almost right, and even those are pretty fucked up. Like I
would say this one, right?
That one there,
and then this one, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. And the lady between them, like she's totally flat. And then the lady over to the right is just like, it's way confused.
To be fair, we don't know if she has some kind of goiter or something.
Right. Yeah. It could just be goiters. Yeah.
Yeah. Not great art on a technical level. Well, the subject matter is disingenuous at best, because he's
for sure
he's basically appropriating these people that are immigrants and trying to reform his image in a lot of ways as a simple painter, which we'll watch an interview in a minute. Where he basically says as much. I'm just an old.
Well, he's joking in that one though, right? But
sort of.
but that's also the problem, right? That he gets
away with that joke.
Exactly, is that it's it's tongue in cheek, but it's done with purpose. But just one, I need to stay on this perspective thing for just a second longer, because it just subject here. It reminds me. No, this is something that happens all the time, right? Yeah. But I have had so many instances where someone has told me how much they love drawing, and that like drawing is their passion, and it's like, that's great, I would love to see it, and they send it to me, and I feel like the people that are always like way crazy confident about it are people that send me stuff that the perspective is bizarrely fucked up. And it's like it's a childish kind of image, but then people that just say, oh yeah, I like to draw, and then they send me something and it's like, oh, this is I can see that you know where you're looking at this from. I don't know, there's something weird about perspective and confidence, that overconfidence, because I guess it's just something that takes time and patience
Well,
and
we're
practice.
basically just stepping into like the Myers-Briggs territory,
Right. Well,
or
not
not Myers-Briggs.
not my. I mean, kind of, maybe the same type of people, maybe, but
Myers-Briggs.
the Dunning Kruger.
Dunning-Kruger, yeah. The other
Yeah,
one that's hyphenated names.
yeah. Dunning Kruger and Myers Briggs are both big liberal things.
Well, Dunning-Kruger actually defines how Myers-Briggs came about system of their system of like indexing people based off of certain personality traits, right?
There's a great bell curve meme here where you have like Myers-Briggs on the, I guess, on the left, and then you have astrology on the right, and I don't know what's in the middle, but yeah.
But it's just
Anyway,
like the Dunning-Kruger effect sort of thing.
right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So yeah, no, I agree with that. I've experienced that as well, and I won't speak about my own art. I normally do mostly abstracted stuff, anyways. So
right.
um, I've done some pretty good portraits, though, I think, of people,
Yeah.
but never. I don't know. I don't do commissions or anything like that. I hate the idea of doing art because somebody asked me to.
You should try it. It'll make you miserable. It'll be great.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've had so many people tell me that I should get it into like drawing furry porn. And I could probably do it, and I could probably like maybe even artistically do it. Like I see a lot of really good furry porn that's like technically good is what I mean.
Right,
Not
for
good
sure.
as I'm like jacking off
Just
to
like
it
really
fervently.
effective. Yeah.
But like technically good, and maybe adding that little artistic flourish to some furry porn is what we really
Yeah.
need,
I mean, I wrote this kind of stuff for a while for like beer money, and I hated myself.
Yeah,
So
I
I
can hate
mean,
myself.
you should try it out. Anyway, who doesn't hate themselves? Is it George W. Bush?
George W. Bush.
He doesn't hate himself.
So this article goes into the reality of the Bush legacy is at painful odds with his post-presidential reputation. That discrepancy isn't news. Here's what we know about Bush. Ever so eager to establish himself as the avatar of something he calls compassionate conservatism, he's responsible for torture and death on a mass scale. Never forget that. Never ever forget that. The media is trying so hard to turn him into a kind old man, but he is one of the a butcher. He's a butcher of the Middle East,
Right.
and you can chalk that up to maybe he's just a dumb old yokel and he didn't know what he was getting himself into. But I don't believe that for a second, because his entire family has been in politics their entire lives. So
Right.
he enabled the military-industrial complex to kill hundreds of thousands in the Middle East, including our own troops, and then you've got the displacement of millions of people in that region because of what we've done, and we're still to this day engaged in the war that he started, and not really seeing it into it, which is something we'll get into later on. Despite what Biden says about ending the war in Afghanistan, it's more of the same old privatization of the war rather than ending the actual war.
Do you think that the Winchester House story where she because her husband's guns had killed so many people, the
trying to
wife of,
escape the spirits or whatever,
by like continuing to build the house out in bizarre ways to like confuse the spirits or to like keep them appeased. Do you think the same thing happened with Bush with his portraits, where he just like keeps on having to paint faces in order to escape from the ghosts which he's painting? And
that's possible. I don't know.
I think it's likely.
I hope he's that tortured, but I think that's unlikely, unfortunately.
I mean, with coke, all things are possible. But
that is true. He was quite the fiend back in the day.
He's just a party animal. He's just an old man that used to party. I mean, nothing wrong with an old man that used to party. He's a sweet old man that used to party. Anyway,
So,
yeah.
even Bush's book, with its emphasis on friendly immigrant faces, betrays an inability or willing refusal to cope with the sins of his past. For all the times Bush condemned Islamophobia, he did plenty else to stoke it. To speak of an axis of evil was to use language freighted with deep meaning. Bush and his speechwriters invoked Hitler and fascism and applied the analogy to two majority Muslim countries that hadn't attacked ours. People shortened the sentence. They heard evil and recognized Islam. Bush did not just go to war with Afghanistan and Iraq, the nations. He took on spiritual enemies in a civilizational conflict and undercut his own warnings against Islamophobia. Bush can't paint his way out of his legacy, though it seems he'd like to try.
Yeah,
So
it's
this,
it's it's
go ahead.
interesting that our all of the conservative presidents we've had for decades have literally claimed that they were placed in power by God.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, and that's something that Bush did claim as well.
Yep. Yep.
And that he spoke to God and thus was guided by God, which is always a troubling thing that you should be very critical of.
A little spooky.
And even when this actually leads into like part of why I fell away from the faith was I saw people like George W. Bush saying, "Oh yeah, I speak to God," and it's like that's probably dangerous to say things like that because I'm
Right.
a Christian person and I've prayed my entire life and I don't hear like the audible voice of God. Now I'd like to think that I was pretty devoted at the time. Um and then to hear somebody say, "Yeah, I talked to God the other day and he told me we need to go bomb them over there in Iraq and Afghanistan." Um
Yeah, imagine being so like distanced from your own like conscience that whenever you hear a little voice in your head, you think it's God.
yeah, right. I heard a voice and I became terrified because I thought I was going crazy. So this interview with what's her name? It's something Nora O'Donnell. I almost
I
said
thought that was
Lawrence.
Lester Holt.
I almost said Lawrence O'Donnell, which is a different guy and a guy rather than her being a woman. So this little puff piece that Nora O'Donnell did with Bush is great. We'll just go ahead and watch this. Tell me if you want to pause it at any moment. There's some interesting stuff in here.
I might need to because puff piece just always makes me so hungry. Sorry, go on.
For cheese puffs.
Cheese puffs.
Arizona's governor has now declared a state of emergency to handle the influx of migrants coming from Mexico. We visited with former President George W. Bush at his ranch in Texas. He told us what he'd do about the crisis if he were still president and why he's rejoining the immigration debate.
Deep in the heart of Texas is the former president's 1,600-acre ranch.
Come on in.
Where he's mixing his new passion for painting with an issue he's cared about for decades, immigration.
The problem with the immigration debate is that one can create a lot of fear. You know, they're coming after you.
The former president hopes his voice makes that debate less fearful after 4 years of anti-immigration rhetoric.
Was President Trump a uniter?
No, the country was very divided during that period of time. And,
Pause it.
You know, as a result, he won.
I mean, do I need to say anything about that claim?
I mean,
because, yeah, I mean, I know that a lot of a lot of the listener is a little younger, but the under the Bush era, it's always bizarre to me when people keep on saying like, "Oh man, the politics are so divided now versus what they used to be." But the Bush era was still extremely divided. I mean, not divided in the same way as under like Obama or under Bush or under Trump per se, but still extremely divided. But it was divided in a way that maybe Bush didn't even notice it. Because so much of the division was based on this cudgel of like pro-Americanism and like the troops and shit, that people who were extremely critical of Bush, and there were better protests against the Iraq and even Afghanistan than we've had, you know, coming into Syria or anything like that. But I guess it's also larger operations. But we actually had protests against these wars back then. That were notable.
You know, I think when people have this perception that America is more divided now than it ever was is because during the Bush years, you had the Democratic and Republican parties were very much aligned with each other. And so now we're seeing like this theater of the Democratic Party and Republican Party being at odds with each other, and that translates as like a national sort of divide. There's dividing lines there because they're
Right.
acting like they're against each other. But during the Bush presidency, up until probably like the end of his second term, the Congress was pretty much on the same page. Nancy Pelosi voted for the war in Afghanistan and the war in Iraq. In fact, there's only like a handful of politicians that didn't vote for it.
Right. Which is ultimately to say that when we're talking about a divided nation, I mean, people that are talking about this division and people, like Bush here, that's talking about how this division didn't exist before. What they're saying is that the people in power weren't as like performatively or otherwise divided, because they're ignoring what the actual substantial divisions within the people were, because of course it's invisible to them. Yeah.
So
also, the way he smiles when he says the word fear, it's just so
I like
spooky.
fear. Again, this is a man who oversaw, well, not oversaw directly, but oversaw the program that led to horrific torture of detainees.
Right, and also
talking about how we cause fear.
Right, and also the idea that, I mean, the whole idea to the beginning of the Iraq invasion and the way that we performed it was shock and awe, right? It was based on pummeling the shit out of the city until, or Baghdad specifically, but just the country until it was dust, right?
Yep.
So that they would see how powerful we are, be afraid of us, and then surrender, which of course isn't really how shit works.
No.
When you destabilize the Ba'ath Party. But
and now we have ISIS.
Right, but keep that in mind, and then keep in mind the fact that there was this extreme paranoia and fear that led to us not just torturing people outside of our country or bombing or anything like that, but also putting into play things like the Patriot Act.
Yep.
That and TSA, guys. I flew. I am old enough that I flew multiple times, quite a few times before the Patriot Act and the TSA existed. And you used to be able to pretty much just walk onto an airplane.
That's
you walk through a metal detector and onto an airplane.
As long as you
and
didn't
it was
have
dope.
like and actually in some cases it's probably different. As long as you didn't have like a fucking gun in your pocket,
Right.
you were pretty much allowed onto the plane.
And guess how many catastrophic events we had? Not very many. It didn't really happen. I mean, 9/11 happened, but that's because the CIA and FBI allowed it to happen. Bush did 9/11 is what I'm saying. But someone who's like so like silly about, people are so afraid and people are really using fear here, and it's just like, that is all you fucking did.
Yeah, somebody who capitalized on fear to clinch down with an even stronger surveillance state and
Look,
and
I'm not afraid.
the TSA is really just security theater.
Oh yeah, it's all
to
theater,
make people feel afraid, to make people reminded that there is some kind of threat that they need to be afraid of, when in reality, if you really think about it, infrastructure is so fragile. I mean, it's literally crumbling around us. If people want to carry out terroristic acts, they can, and it would be easy. But the fact of the matter is that not that many people want to destroy the world. But the way that
most people are people.
Yeah, most people are people, and they just want to live like good, decent lives and be happy. They don't want to destroy everything, and it's self-evident in the fact that we're not having, like, I don't know, even worse
we don't
crises.
live in chaos.
Yeah, we don't live in absolute chaos every day in a society that has crumbling infrastructure that could easily be targeted.
Right, right. But Bush, he's not afraid. He's just hyper vigilant.
You're right.
All right.
Reelected.
President Bush tells us that it was a prominent Republican's idea to get him back into the immigration debate.
And I said, I don't want to put my voice in the immigration debate. I'm a quiet guy. I've done my deal. I'm not going to criticize my successors. And he said, why don't you paint the portraits of immigrants? And I said, wow, that's a good idea, and started. And I'm now involved in the immigration discussion.
The last president to pass a reform bill was a Republican.
Many people don't know that Ronald Reagan's bill in 1986 essentially allowed amnesty for 2.7 million undocumented immigrants.
President Reagan did sign a bill. I don't believe it would work in this day and age, providing immediate amnesty. I do, however, believe people who have been here, who paid the law and paid their taxes, ought to be given a chance.
A pathway to citizenship.
Pathway to citizenship.
Why wouldn't it work, bud?
Yeah. Why wouldn't?
Why
it
not?
work?
Yeah.
If they pay their taxes.
If they pay their taxes and prove to be good citizens.
And if that were the proposal by President Biden, would you lobby your own party to support that?
I am right now. I don't whether my own party listens to me or not is another question.
And people say, well, that's going to take jobs away from Americans.
I disagree. I think that helps grow the number of jobs available. There are a lot of jobs that aren't being fulfilled now. You come to Dallas and in August, and not a lot of people are volunteering to put tile on roofs.
Today, he's watching the crisis at the border and has a suggestion for one of the first things that needs to be done.
There ought to be more asylum judges on the border so they can handle these asylum cases so parents don't have to separate from their kids.
The former president introduced us to Carlos Ravello.
You're on the cover of President Bush's book. What does that mean to you?
Only in America. And that's what this country is all about.
It doesn't even look like that.
I know, right?
The awful pager.
But besides this is the typical, ID politics centric. We'll wheel out one of the guys that agrees with us, who's got the right skin tone and comes from the right place.
Right.
And we'll use him as a political prop.
And Mike, only in America. America's the only country that would
the only country that anybody's ever immigrated to.
That's true. It's true.
Never say never.
Ravello came to America to escape harm in El Salvador and became a citizen in 1980.
Hey, what do you think was going on in El Salvador?
Oh no, nothing stable. It's a joke because
not a concerted effort by the U.S. to destabilize El Salvador.
No. What?
Okay. Yeah.
Where would you get an idea like that? Do you have any historical precedent
I do.
to believe that we would destabilize? Oh my
we'll
God!
Talk about
no,
that
you're right.
Another time,
yeah,
probably.
That's.
I'm sure we have talked about it at previous moments. We talked about
Oh,
Guatemala, but not
right.
Not El Salvador.
Well, also there's he speaks out of both sides of his mouth. I mean, all the time, and literally also back and forth. But this like if they pay taxes thing, right. I don't understand where fucking everyone's thought is coming from with this, that immigrants don't pay taxes, because
I've never
they
understood that either.
Categorically do.
I mean, on the simple fact that they buy things and there's a sales tax, right? Like,
right. I mean, just that. I mean,
yeah.
and so much more. But like, and the fact of the matter is that they're paying taxes without paying. Well, I mean, indirectly paying into, but not getting anything out of Social Security either. So it's like,
yeah, they're paying taxes for systems that they don't really benefit from because of their status as non-citizens.
Right. So that's cool.
Yeah, and
that's very cool.
And we'll see how disingenuous it is for him to say what he's saying about what should be fixed at the border. Turns out there's a written history of Bush's interactions with the border that we can tap into. So
what?
Yeah, we'll go into that after this clip. We'll round this clip out though.
1987.
If you had stayed in El Salvador, what would have happened?
I don't think I'd be alive today.
Today, he teaches American government And the president hopes by sharing his story and others, things will change.
Yeah, that's the thing that pisses me off about this debate. I really don't want to get involved in politics. The tone of the debate just was so disrespectful to people like Carlos.
The people who work so hard.
Yeah. Dream big dreams. Work hard.
A very candid George W. Bush, and there's much more of our interview with the former president on our Facebook and Instagram pages.
So I did some looking into Nora O'Donnell, by the way, and I was like, she's been in, the journalistic field for a while. She was around when Bush was president, and she should know better about like how Bush interacted with the border and how he treated immigration, right? It turns out she's been a Bush simp for like her entire career.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Yeah, it's not surprising, but I was just a little bit surprised by it because
we got him.
It's not surprising that somebody in the media would be that way, but I was surprised that she works for CBS and has for her entire career been like pro Bush in like a really disingenuous way, and nobody's ever brought that up. It feels like.
Yeah, CBS is the old people network, right? So
fair enough, yeah. So here's that historical written information about Bush and the border. So when there was an immigration crisis under, and I put little air quotes up as I said that, because there's always been an immigration crisis because we don't handle our immigration very well. When there was an immigration crisis going on during the Bush presidency, he ordered 6,000 National Guard troops to the border to reinforce them, and it turned out to be a shit show because Border Patrol and the National Guard weren't communicating very well. They were stepping all over each other's dicks, etc., etc. And what ends up happening to the people trying to immigrate when they have the armed forces staring them down on the other side of the fence. Nothing good, obviously. Did you have something you wanted to add? It looked like you wanted to talk.
No, I just said no.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
It's not good. Yeah, I mean, I think this speaks for itself for the most part. It's
right, and that's something that liberals were all up in arms about with Trump. Was Trump put the National Guard down, or maybe it was the actual army? I can't remember which.
I think there was actual branches of the big boy
actual
army
branches of the military rather than just the National Guard.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it's the same effect.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Well,
and
weren't there like literally Marines like painting the wall?
Yep, that's right. Yeah. Man, that was a wild 4 years. So much to remember and a lot to forget.
God bless.
So. And fun fact: Obama also sent troops to the border during his term. When former presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama deployed the Guard to the border in 2006, that's when Bush was president. In 2010, that's when Obama was president. They were pushing Congress to pass wide-ranging overhauls of immigration policy. Both overhauls failed. So when you have Bush talking about, the bill that Reagan signed and how it wouldn't work today, maybe he's right because we have such a dysfunctional government, but also, his response to the border was not any better than Trump's response to the border.
No.
And Obama's response to the border wasn't any better than Trump or Bush's response to the border. So
right.
We have a long line of presidents using the military to enforce the border. When, honestly, the better thing to do is maybe let the border fail to some degree.
Yeah.
Rather than maintain an unjust border that we know needs to be fixed. We let
what if people could just move around and be people, just move through space, and
that would probably incentivize Congress to come up with some actual reform bill and get it passed. Because of the political implications that we have an unprotected border, which would scare a lot of people, I think, because they're trying to be scared of that,
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, that's not a crisis I would want to end, though.
No, I don't want to. I'm just saying, in the perspective of these people being genuine to what they want to do or what they profess to do. if they were truly genuine in that, they have a clear way to make this work, to pressure Congress, and each time they always use the military to reinforce the border. And they inadvertently and probably on purpose maintain the status quo of there always being a border crisis that we can point to as something to just focus the nation on.
And the fact of the matter is that all of this is done for business interests, in the sense that,
of course,
we also, I don't know, man, Americans.
You're part of the ruling class, aren't you?
Right, exactly, yeah. But that business interests want to have, of course, cheap immigrant labor, but they want that immigrant labor to remain cheap, right?
Of course.
And they want an influx of it, but they don't want so many of them that it's going to flood in and cause any real problems to
well, once you make them citizens,
labor power, right?
They have labor rights, right?
Yeah. And so it's ultimately like a calculated decision to keep like a certain amount of non-citizen laborers here, keeping that number at a certain point, and making sure that they remain non-citizens. So it's not a problem that anyone wants fixed, anyone in power, at least.
For sure. Yeah. Let's see what else. I had something else on this, I think. Oh, we're just gonna see the same thing with Biden, I think.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
We've already seen him walk back, and this is stuff that he could change through executive order, and we talked about it a little bit last time, I think. How he could just increase the cap of refugees that we accept.
Yep.
He could,
and he's keeping it at the same dropped numbers.
He's keeping
Trump
it at the same dropped level, which is I think 15,000, which is a Trump era policy that he's carrying over. He could abolish ICE in a heartbeat. It literally,
which again, this is a thing that came out under Bush, and we didn't have before, and things were fine.
Yep. We did not have ICE. I'm older than ICE. Dorian's older than ICE. I guess, it would have been 98's when Bush was elected, right? Feels right. Maybe not.
No, it was 96. Right? Is it 98? Jesus, my brain is broken. No, it's all divisible by, it's 96.
Oh, okay,
divisible
so it would
by
have been
4.
2000.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2000 was when he was elected.
No, sorry. Why the fuck did I say 96?
I
obviously that was Clinton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, who cares about the exact date, really? It's just the fact that
I'm gonna kill myself.
Before the turn of the century, we did not have ICE, and our country existed for a couple hundred years before that. So we were doing
21st century. We were told that in the 21st century we would have flying cars. In the year 2000, we'd have flying cars and laser eyes and robots, but instead we just got extra racist cops.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So another one that's been making his rounds is John Boehner.
Good old Boehner, man.
And
what a guy. He looks
like beat
cooked.
Shit.
He looks good. That guy I want to look like Boehner.
So let's watch this clip real quick.
You know how some people's dicks are darker than the rest of their body because it's full blood and stuff?
His is fully black, I think.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say he just looks like a phallus.
Oh, okay, yeah. There's that too,
there's a fractal thing going on here, where he looks like a dick and his dick looks like something even more non-Euclidean and extraordinary, and of course there's something else coming out of that, and just goes on forever. Man, I wish John was here on that acid. Oh no, I sold him out. Yeah, he's doing illegal drugs. Man,
I'm gonna have to cancel you now. Administrative leave. I'm gonna be the only person on the podcast next week.
The Benzo Rehab Dungeon does not support exploring your own mind.
No,
We
absolutely
do not support
yeah.
that. No.
Very much against that. Never been a fan of it. Think it's
Yeah.
dumb.
It is. It's just,
Speaking of
I mean,
never,
why?
oh, go
The
ahead.
world is so amazing. Why would you need to look at it?
Speaking of never exploring your own mind, let's listen to John Boehner and also Dana Bash, who knows better than to give John Boehner this kind of platform. I think she should
She
know
could have
better.
really bashed that Boehner, but
yeah, I mean, she's one of those people that was like really anti-Trump, and then all of a sudden Trump had like one coherent speech, and she's like, "The president is being presidential." Exactly.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
so
that's
maybe
cool.
she doesn't know better because she's just this kind of person that has no ideology, I guess, except for the aesthetics of like niceness. I don't know.
Well, has no ideology except for ideology. Like it's just
Sure.
hegemonic, right?
Right,
It's
yeah.
yeah.
You really don't hold back in this book about where you see your party, the Republican Party, today. You called some of your colleagues political terrorists,
He's getting
knuckleheads, the Chaos Caucus. You were the top
He's getting turned on, is what it is.
Hell yeah.
Republican in the country when this group, or at least parts of it, emerged. In your book, you say that you're not going to give a 15-point plan to save the world, and I understand that. But as I was reading it, I was thinking he's like a doctor who's identifying a disease, but not giving a prescription on how to fix it. So as a lifelong Republican, don't you want to find a solution and be the person to try to do that?
I'm sorry, could you pause it really quick?
No, I just want to sell books.
This is such like a dumb thing to point out, especially because it's also been like picked up a bunch. But you know, Boehner he is allegedly, but very, very popular, known and believed, allegedly, like a massive drunk.
He looks like a fucking train wreck in this interview. He looks like he's
doing the
drunk.
wobble, like he's just wobbling around in his seat, and it's
I mean, he's
very funny.
He has all the markers of somebody who got drunk and passed out in the sun, right?
Yeah, I saw. God, I forget who the interview was with. It was it was a dumb late night thing recently.
And
I
that's
think it was
coming from
Colbert.
a drunk person, by the way. I'm a very drunk person.
Same, but yeah, I think it was with him, and they ended up asking him what he was drinking, and it was so funny because his brain caught for a second where he like kind of paused, like, oh shit, do they know that I'm drinking? And it's like, oh yeah, that's okay, and like part of the plan that they know I'm drinking. And so it's just like, what are you drinking? It's like Merlot, red wine.
Yeah.
It's I'm drinking. That's okay that I'm doing that right now.
Of course, he's a wine drunk. Why did I think he would drink like something like brown whiskey, dark whiskey?
Yeah, well, probably off the air. Yeah. He wanted to. That was image maintenance. We're just like, okay. I drink a glass of wine occasionally. Nothing crazy. Also keeping in mind this man
I'm drinking a Shiraz right now.
That this man was like part of the like the standard Republican kind of just the body, and he kept the line with everyone, and often was the vanguard of the line, no matter like how resistant he often is to admitting that. But he now makes a lot of money selling weed.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, he's a pot magnate now, and it's just like these fucking people, like,
oh, they're so disingenuous.
I don't want it to be legal. It can't be legal. It can't be legal. It can't be legal. It's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be terrible to make it legal. And then fuck. Well, now I have to sell it. Now I have to sell.
And one of the things I'd eventually like to dig into is how the weed industry has essentially been robbed from African Americans and Latinos, because they were the people who were originally growing it and selling it, and they all got incarcerated. And now that all the OGs are incarcerated, look who's stepping in as all these white tech bros and shit, and old plantation owner types like John Boehner, who are now profiting off of this new industry that's been around for hundreds of years and 100 or more years in America. and we criminalized it, and now we're decriminalizing it without reinstating those positions that people had as like sellers and growers.
Yeah, and also, keeping in mind that in not just 100 or more years in America, but hundreds, like
I mean, I guess
the whole time.
I mean, like
founding
the
fathers
US
had
like
hemp at the very least. Like, he sucks.
He does suck.
He sucks.
We'll go into that a little bit more after this interview, why he sucks. Because he's talking about how the Republican Party is a bunch of lunatics. Well, who was right there, square front and center, when the Tea Party was rising up and did nothing to stop it?
He ended up being largely one of so the way that he describes it is that he was resistant to the Tea Party, but also knew that like they were going to be the new boys in power, and so he just fucking had to go ahead and support them. And it's funny seeing like how much cowardice is involved in in all parties in power, but certainly on the Republican end, how like
I would say the Republican Party is like the most
cowardly bullshit
when it comes to like appeasing their base and like the cultural sort of aspect of things.
Well, because the Democrats just don't listen to the genuinely concerned parts of their base.
Right.
So it's funny because I always called Democrats cowards versus Republicans who are just psychos. But in certain ways, there's, again, a weird fractal thing where it is, in fact, the Democrats that are psychos and the Republicans that are cowards. So good to know.
And I'm retired, and those that serve in public office today have a tough job governing. I think governing in America today is far harder than it was when I was there. But what I've suggested here over the last several months is Republicans have to go back to being Republicans. Focus in on the principles of what it means to be a Republican.
What does that mean?
A fiscal
I don't know.
The fuck does that mean?
But my
go back to being
ear is picking up
Lincolnites?
some liquor slur.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. His jaw.
And to be fair, if I ever got an interview on CNN, I would also show up drunk, but it would be for like a completely different reason, I think.
just to loosen up. Rather, right.
Loosen up, be a dickhead. I don't know. Maybe
right. Loosening up in different directions. Right.
Yeah.
Responsibility, a strong national defense. They can lay out a half a dozen principles that I think help bring our party together, which is really what's going to be necessary if we're going to have a chance to take back the majority in 2022 or 2024.
Well, that makes perfect sense, but you also outline in this book problems that have exploded about misinformation and flat-out lies, coming not just from right-wing media, but from some lawmakers who don't necessarily put those ideals that you just laid out at the top of the list in terms of what's important. And they continue to perpetuate the big lie. You've been clear that there was nothing even close to enough fraud that would have changed the 2020 election result. So are those people, your fellow Republicans, pushing this lie? Are they eroding democracy?
Well, you can describe it any way you want.
How would you describe it?
It's a little crazy. Listen, I tried to deal with the facts as they were, the facts as I knew them, and I tried to move forward based on facts. And there's people in both parties who are on the fringe. But listen, on any given day, I had 215 solid Republican votes, solid Republican members, good members. And remember, there are good members on both sides of the aisle. 90% of Congress are good, decent.
We have to remember that he's talking about largely the same people that are in power now.
Yes.
Like there are new people that are fucking nuts, but he's talking about now they were solid Republicans, unlike the people that are in power now, which are exactly the same fucking people.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just based on the age of our average senator and how long they've been in power, yeah, for sure. It's a lot of the same people.
Average,
and when he talks about fringe people on the other aisle, who's he talking about? AOC, who at this point has been completely captured by the Democratic Party. Sorry to break it to everybody. We'll probably talk about that some other time, but
all right.
who are these fringe people? Who's going around trying to, and you know, let's not take the insurrection too seriously, because it's been beat over our heads this entire time, and is now leading into legislation that's going to be very dangerous in the future.
Right.
But like Marjorie Taylor Greene out there leading like an insurrection protest saying kill Nancy Pelosi and shit like that.
Right.
And you know, as someone who's not a fan of Nancy Pelosi at all, obviously that's just, you know, a dangerous thing to do, is to tell your followers to go kill somebody.
Right.
And so when he's saying, "Oh, there's fringe people on both sides of the party," like he's comparing AOC, who like has some good policy stances, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's a fucking demon from hell.
It's not even that though. Like Boehner is one of these people that, you know, being someone that went along with the Tea Party and stuff, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, his actions showed it, but when he's talking about fringe people, he's still probably even like talking about people that align with Obama.
Oh yeah, for sure. Right.
So like,
I mean, the conservative right has been saying that Biden is a radical leftist to some degree.
Right. Like he's
pushed super far left, and it's like, no.
Right. Like I'm pretty sure what he thinks are like fringe people are Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then the rest of the Republicans are fine. And then Joe Manchin is cool, and the rest of the Democrats are fringe. Like that seems like what he really
There's
thinks.
Good people on both sides. I like Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin,
which counts as people. That's
which
two.
Counts as people. Yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure that we got at least two in there.
Honest people trying to do the right thing for their constituents and for the country. Mm-hmm. But in my case, on any given day, there were 2 or 3 dozen what I call knuckleheads who just wanted chaos. They wanted it all their way or no way.
But are the knuckleheads
American
now?
Democracy just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and are the knuckleheads now, you know, much more dominant? I mean, it certainly seems that they are. And more importantly, let's focus on how this is affecting policy. You know that because of this lie that they're not dealing with the facts as you described it, there are 361 bills across the country right now, according to the Brennan Center, that are trying to roll back Americans' right to vote. What do you think about that?
Well, listen, I've served in the State House in Ohio before I went to Congress, and when we dealt with election issues, it was typically done on a bipartisan basis. Why? Because people need to have confidence in the voting systems in each of the states. And I think after the challenges that the last election proved out, every state's looking at their election systems, trying to figure out a way to make it fair, to make it more secure. And, you know, I don't know what all those different bills are. But listen, the only thing different today than when I was there is that, you know, those who want chaos have a bigger platform. Back 30 years ago, there was no platform. We always had some people on the fringe, right and left, but the press never paid any attention to them. These days, with talk radio, cable news, and all these social media platforms, the people on the fringes have a bigger platform to make their points. And frankly, create chaos, brings more attention to them. They're able to raise more money. And the idea of governing is something foreign to most of them.
What a fucking interview, right?
Yeah. That just...
So I don't typically pump out Mother Jones articles.
Ooh, getting spicy.
This was, I mean, it's written from the perspective of somebody who's nominally like a neoliberal themselves. And the headline is kind of silly because it's John Boehner should just shut the $&, and sign, or ampersand, sorry, % sign, exclamation mark.
I was wondering how you were going to read that out. I was prepared because it was like John Boehner should shut the poop up. John Boehner should shut the shit up. John Boehner should shut the Door up?
This person censored it, but I would assume what they actually said was frick.
There are real people.
Yeah, there are
who
real
say
people
the
who
word frick.
and it's always like the very timid neoliberal types, isn't it? Who think frick is just like,
not-
oh, I would never cuss in
No.
public.
They're I mean, I think it's a center right. Well, no, even like far right too, in a bizarre kind of
Well,
space.
sure,
like,
yeah,
like,
you've got it's anybody who's
I'm
associated.
just thinking
with
of it like LDS.
yeah. Anybody who's
Yeah.
associated with some kind of Puritan culture. So John Boehner should just shut the # ampersand %, exclamation mark up.
Say it right, Mike.
Shut the frick up.
Say the whole thing.
John Boehner should just shut the frick up.
Oh, that's so good.
Because I'm TO'd right now.
That made me feel warm. I hope someone clips that.
Yeah, me too.
John Boehner, shut the frick up.
We do have somebody who likes to clip our stuff.
That's true.
Especially
Psycho.
That made me laugh when
That's pretty good.
we got that clip in.
That and the spit take, man. Good time.
Yeah.
Why are you the most clippable person here? I feel really
I'm the drunkest person, I
this a little.
think. Is
Oh,
what it is.
maybe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not
Flipping
going to really
someone's
read
shouting
this article.
"fuck you" isn't really going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the fuck you is what led to some of it, right?
That's true. That's true.
So yeah, I'm not really going to read this article. I don't really care
That's
for Mother
good.
Jones that much, but we already went into like how Boehner essentially, enabled the Tea Party to take over, and the Tea Party for the younger listener is basically what led to the formation of Trump and the Trump doctrine, and how Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene and all this QAnon stuff sort of formulated was out of the ashes of the Tea Party, which was not a grassroots campaign, despite what everybody in the Republican Party will tell you. It was an AstroTurf campaign. It was funded by very, very moneyed interests, and the reason it fell apart is because it was funded by such moneyed interests that, like, once they were done with what they needed it to do, they just kind of moved on. But
that's a good summary of it.
The adherents, the cultists of it, essentially, the people who really believed in it, eventually started moving on to things like QAnon and the Trumpist sort of politics.
Yep.
So
ideologies don't die; they just mutate.
Yeah, like V from Vendetta says.
Oh no!
I'm not gonna say it.
What is it? What is this shit? You can't kill an idea.
Kill an idea. Yeah.
Hell yeah! That guy's really cool. We should try to look and act more like him. Like put on cool masks and stuff.
I mean, I've got like most of the facial hair to do it. I think I would just have to like grow it out.
You gotta cut some off. That's true.
I would have to.
That's true.
Yeah, I would have to like pencil shave it in and everything.
Man, let's do it. Let's. Mine grows back pretty quick. We could.
I
would
also have to paint my face white, which I think is racist.
Yeah, but I mean, you have white friends.
Excuse me. All right. So
what if we for Halloween this year? I'm sorry, I keep on cutting you off today, and always. But what if for Halloween, you dressed up as me and I dressed up as you, which means that we versus what we look like today, which is a little different. It would mean that we both dress like we always do, but we do racist face paint.
Yeah.
And you wear glasses and I don't. What about that? What do you think?
I was on board with everything except for the glasses part. Fine with
you
racism,
don't look like a
drawing the line
nerd.
at I don't want to seem ableist to people that genuinely have sight problems.
Oh right. You're okay with wearing the geisha makeup, but just not the glasses.
Not the glasses. I wouldn't want to able shame people who have bad eyesight. I mean, sorry, not bad eyesight, different eyesight.
Yeah.
I'm still working on. I'm sorry, guys. I'm still working on some of the correct ways of speaking on these subjects.
Yeah, I used to do volunteer work with disabled people, and I remember getting kind of shut down when I was trying to be like good, and I use the word differently abled, or the phrase differently abled, and getting shut down over that, where they're just like, I get that that's like a thing,
nice way of saying it,
but also that's so condescending.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, my legs just don't work.
It's okay to recognize that some people have a bad situation.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And some people do prefer the term.
Sure, of course. But you know.
But it is mostly pretty condescending, I think.
Yeah, it's better to recognize it as being a bad thing, and not a moral harm of theirs necessarily, but something that's bad because it affects them so deeply, you know?
Right. Never call, in my experience, someone who's deaf and most people that are blind differently, disabled. That's a big thing, where there's like a full cultural thing around being deaf, where there's like a pride and stuff around it, which is really interesting to me. But anyway, we're going off a tangent. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of tangent, let's wash our brains out a little bit, because we've gotten pretty deep into some old history stuff with some pretty gross people. I think it's good to check in on one of our little what do you want to call it? Sideshow attractions maybe.
Hell yeah.
Which is Matt Gaetz.
Oh man, he looks differently abled there. Sorry.
I like how he's looking up at this headline like, oh fuck, this looks bad.
Right.
Because the headline is Matt Gaetz associate Joel Greenberg said in a letter that Gaetz paid for sex with a minor.
Hell yeah.
Which,
I mean, not hell yeah.
Not hell yeah that he did that, but hell yeah that he's getting ratted out by
thank you,
by one of his boys. Right. I understood.
Gotta be so careful these days, because someone's gonna clip that out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Matt Gaetz had sex with a minor. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
This is a joke that we're talking about. Don't clip this. No.
Paid to have sex with a minor. Paid.
Yeah, paid to have sex with a minor.
That's the part that makes it not cool.
Jesus. Yeah. Thanks for that.
All right. Yeah.
So a longtime associate of Rep. Matt Gaetz of Florida said in a letter obtained by the Daily Beast that Gaetz paid to have sex with a minor. On more than one occasion, this individual was involved in sexual activities with several of the other girls, the congressman from Florida's first congressional district, and myself, the associate Joel Greenberg, said in the letter, with the individual identified as a 17-year-old. From time to time, gas money or gifts, rent, or partial tuition payments were made to several of these girls, including the individual who was not yet 18. I did see the acts occur firsthand. And Venmo transactions, Cash App, and other payments were made to these girls on behalf of the congressman.
It is.
What a fucking flex this guy has done in saying, yeah, I watched a guy have sex with a minor.
Yeah, that's...
the dumbest fucking people, man.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, it's... I want to point out to people that it's really easy to not have sex with minors.
Yeah.
It's very, very easy. It starts with, well, I mean, even if you get past like all the blockades of like, wow, you talk and act like a child. Let me tell you
how easy. How easy it is, real quick.
Sure.
I'm interrupting you.
Steal my joke.
Oh, okay. Maybe you're gonna tell the same joke. I'll let you finish.
No, go on. No, go on.
Oh, I was gonna say I've never had sex with a minor, including when I was a minor.
Wow.
So
only adults.
Yeah, only ever adults. Wait, what? And basically the joke is that nobody likes me. Go on with your joke though.
Oh, no, mine was different. Mine was just to after you get past all the stuff of like, oh, you talk and act like a child. I don't know why I'm doing this. We have no way to relate. This is terrifying. Once you get past all of that, which I feel towards people that are like 25, but once you get past all that, you just you ask them, how old are you? And then they say a number, and if that number is less than 18, you don't do it.
Man, that's That's interesting. That's
There's
a weird
math
take.
involved. There's math involved, so it's a little
Right.
complicated for some people, I guess. But if you're working as like a tax man, maybe, or like a politician, especially
Right.
one that's like so concerned with like fiscal responsibility,
For sure. Yeah,
then
he's
maybe
a numbers guy, right?
yeah, he is. He is. With a head like that, you got to be. So I mean, ugh,
So big.
it's delightful. Little bobblehead. Anyway, don't fuck kids.
What?
Don't do it.
Yeah, don't fuck
no,
kids.
it was more hot takes.
PSA from the Benzo Rehab dungeon. You can
Don't.
clip this. Michael Deebs and Danko Suvin do not endorse or condone fucking kids.
I second that. Yes, yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I was waiting for. And I agree.
To see if I agree.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like I said, next week I'm going to be doing the podcast alone. So, so let's pivot to Biden real quick, because this is something that's being whitewashed in the media. Well, not this particular thing I'm about to click on yet, because this is just something that I want to highlight as like an absolute failure of our country for the last 35, 40 years. And how low the bar seems to be for action on items like this. But this is from the presidential address, the first 100 days address that Biden gave to Congress the other day, April 28th, so 2 days ago. And just understand how low the bar is, and I'll comment after we watch this clip, but this is Biden talking about his infrastructure plan, the American Jobs Plan, which is basically an infrastructure bill. And to be fair to Biden, and I think he's a horrible president already for a myriad of other reasons. But the infrastructure stuff is good. It's woefully inadequate, but it's at least a step in the right direction on something that's very troubling in our society, which is that our infrastructure is crumbling around us. And then
my constant pushes for jobs plan, which is important and good. Again, woefully inadequate, but
sure.
Yeah.
And then, the stat that he's going to read off is horrifying to me. So we'll just go ahead.
This is the largest jobs plan since World War II. Creates jobs to upgrade our transportation infrastructure. Jobs modernizing our roads, bridges, highways. Jobs building ports and airports, rail corridors, transit lines. It's clean water. And today, up to 10 million homes in America and more than 400,000 schools and child care centers have pipes with lead in them, including drinking water. A clear and present danger to our children's health. American Jobs Plan creates jobs replacing 100% of the nation's lead pipes and service lines, so every American can drink clean water.
Midwest's about to get torn up.
No shit. So again, I think this is a good thing. I would like to see 100% of all the lead pipes removed from America. But the low bar that's being crossed here, that this deserves a standing ovation. Lead pipes were banned. I looked this up because my estimation when I was shitposting about this on the Instagram was about 40 years that lead pipes have been banned from domestic use. So these are.
Is it closer to like 60 or?
No, I was pretty on the money. It was actually 1986 is when they were banned. It was during Reagan. So you have to think.
Ooh.
You have to think that we've had Reagan, old Bush, Clinton, new Bush, Obama, and Trump, and now Biden for presidents. And this is the first time anything substantive is even being like put forward in an actionable way to fix this problem.
Well, no, hold on, because Obama did do a lot to fix this problem, because he went to Flint and he drank a glass of water.
I was about to yell at you for saying that that Obama did anything to fix this, and I was like, I really hope he's about to make a Flint water joke. Really hope he's about to make a Flint water joke. I don't want to have this kind of animosity between us.
I don't know, man. I think he did it. He did what he could. All right.
Please stop.
He knew what was politically possible at the time.
I don't.
Which was drinking tap water.
Yeah, and you know, if you ever, you know what, I'll pull the video up because that video is such a fucking joke.
It's terrifying. The audience was.
Yeah, the audience is like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
So this is Obama drinking the water in Flint, Michigan, also, which still does not.
Do we even know that it was the water?
No, we don't. There's nothing. He just has a glass in front of him with water in it, and he.
No, doesn't look like the water.
Supposedly drinks it. To prove that
and it's not much
safe.
either.
Yeah, to prove that it's safe. And if you look pretty carefully, it doesn't look like he actually drinks any of it.
No, yeah, it looks like a sip at the most.
So you know,
we should watch it, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, watch on YouTube. What's going on here?
Ads floating around or something.
Oh, jeez. Here, it's on YouTube.
Gosh.
All right.
It is. There you go. You know, generally I have not been doing stunts here, but, you know. And this used a filter.
Let's go ahead and go back to that.
Been doing stunts
I forgot
here, but,
about this used filter.
Do you think water actually crossed the threshold of his lips?
Probably not. Doesn't look like.
Look at that. Look at that. That appears to be his lip line right there, right? And then like the water is just a little bit below, like it maybe touched.
But also, to be fair, I could also see Obama drinking everything that way. It just seems like something he would do.
Fair enough.
Just he has to chew 37 times with each bite, and he needs to. No.
Well, you see, I've properly masticated this piece of animal flesh inside my mouth.
but can we play that again just to hear what he says immediately after?
Oh yeah.
It is. There you go. You know, generally I have not been doing stunts here, but you know. And this used a filter. You know, the water around this table, you know, was Flint water that was filtered. And
this used a filter. Like it's such a weird thing to point out. It's like he's admitting it there, right? Where it's even if it is water from Flint, which you know quite possibly is, especially since he's not drinking it or not drinking much.
Actually drink it,
but just the fact that he had to point out this used a filter, by the way, which is why it doesn't look brown like the shit in your tub. Jesus,
important to note
what
that
a fucking nightmare.
Flint still doesn't have clean water to this
No.
very day. And so again,
pretty cool.
Not something I'm pinning on Joe Biden because he is at least attempting to get something done, and I think he is genuinely attempting to get something done about it.
Yeah.
But you know, just the basic idea that this is something that deserves a standing ovation from half of Congress, which is also notable that there's apparently some people in Congress that I mean. The reasoning behind the standing ovation on the Democratic side is because, oh yes, we've got the guy that's doing the thing, and then the Republican side maybe they just don't want to stand up because it's not that impressive. But I think more what it is they just can't show support for Joe Biden.
Of course.
So it's not even that they're like, well, that's not a big deal. We should have done that forever ago. It's like, we're just not going to stand up for Joe Biden because we're opposed.
Right. There's something notable that I noticed during the talk, and I think that there's a reason for this, but I wanted to ask you. But when he mentioned pulling out of Afghanistan, the cameras popped over to a general, of course, who was totally non-responsive to it, and. Per my knowledge, it is like military policy to not engage like politically in uniform, at least, right?
Yeah.
Is that the case?
Yeah.
Right. So do you think he wasn't clapping simply because he's not supposed to clap? Would he ever clap for anything? Or is it just because of the fact that
Well,
he's like, I want to get out of Afghanistan.
You know, let's be clear on how this actually works, because we've had generals throw their active generals throw their political, you know, opinions into the mix, right? And when you're at that level, you can't be seen as anything other than a military official. So that rule that service members aren't allowed to engage in politics or show support for certain politics while they're in uniform is more of like keeping certain classes of people in their place,
for
sort
sure.
of thing.
And that's a I'm just guessing off of this and based off of a little bit of historical precedent, but that's an artifact of the Vietnam War, right?
I would
I believe so.
Guarantee so.
Yeah, right.
Because you know, you had a lot of vets coming back, and they were, you know, some of them still being active duty were, you know, tearing up their uniforms in the street and throwing their medals in the trash cans and lighting them on fire or whatnot.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so I would have to look into when exactly that
right.
Because it's not even a law so much as it is a military order under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So I'd have to look into that to know exactly. But
I believe hearing that, so I'm just gonna say it's real.
Yeah, I mean, I like I'm saying, I would fully believe that that's the case. I just would want to look into that before I say yes, that's exactly what it is. And maybe I'll make a post about it later if I look into it. So follow up. Oh, which, by the way, I've seen that some people comment on like the SoundCloud feeds and the YouTube feed every now and then. I think I'm really bad at following up on comments on those because I don't have like my personal electronics really associated with those accounts. So if you really want to talk to me about something, the best way is to comment on one of my Instagram posts, or I'm pretty good at replying to messages on Instagram as well.
But also do still comment and like and subscribe on the YouTube thing, simply so that the algorithm shows us.
Yeah, for sure.
But if it is something pressing, reach out to one of us on probably Instagram.
Yeah.
Or through the email.
And I'll try to do my best to step it up on the YouTube. I don't like SoundCloud.
You piece of shit.
But yeah, so
motherfucker.
Little aside.
You don't care about the listener.
So this is an article I shared the other day, which I think is good, and I'm mostly just going to tell you to read this if you can.
Yeah.
But it's from the Gray Zone, and the article is titled "Biden Isn't Ending the Afghanistan War; He's Privatizing It. Special Forces, Pentagon contractors, intelligence operatives will remain."
Surprise!
Yeah. And so, you know, personal anecdote, and I've told this story a couple of times probably, but I'll tell it again briefly. When I was in Afghanistan in 2012, I was attached to BDOC, which is Base Defense Operations Command. During that time, I was standing post on Camp Leatherneck, guarding the perimeter. And when my time on BDOC was ending, instead of what would normally happen is as a changeover where I would train, and you don't really have to train another Marine how to stand post. It's mostly like, here's that, there's that, you know, these are the protocols we're following right now, et cetera, et cetera. You could point up at the roof and there's the escalation of force procedures clearly written out for anyone who's on post, et cetera. What I ended up doing is a changeover with a private military contractor called Triple Canopy. Because
the best.
In 2012 is when Obama was talking about the drawdown, and we were actually my actual unit that I was attached to was doing a lot of deconstruction of all of our shops and maintenance bays and everything, because we were supposed to effectively be drawing down to the point where there was no real U.S. military presence over there anymore. What ended up happening is a lot of combat military troops got replaced with private military contractors. And we're going to see the same exact thing happen under Biden, because the war in Afghanistan can never end. And one of the important things that this article points out is that, so there's a second portion of the article, what Uncle Sam really wants in Afghanistan. And points out specifically that Inhofe is a noted war profiteer. He's got investment in stocks of leading arms manufacturer Raytheon. I'm not sure which general you were referring to in Biden's speech.
I don't remember.
Was it a black guy?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
So Biden's Secretary of Defense is and I'm blanking on his name right now. But he's he used to be a Raytheon executive.
Oh yeah, we talked about this last week.
Yeah. So he was a general. Became a Raytheon executive, left Raytheon to become Secretary
Lloyd Austin.
of Defense. Yeah, there we go. General Austin, Lloyd Austin. So we have multiple people from Raytheon involved in the U.S. government right now. And Inhofe isn't necessarily from Raytheon. He just has investments in Raytheon. So
right,
a clear conflict of interest. But one of the bigger things is that there is a pipeline that is being built through Afghanistan right now. Or has been built, I think. An oil pipeline, of course, not a fun pipeline or a happiness pipeline, but
look,
oil.
It could, based on what Kamala has said this week, it could be a water pipeline.
True, yeah, fair enough. We don't know what the pipeline is. It just happens to link up with oil industries.
It's just mixing water into oil.
Oh, you're not supposed to do that.
Oh man,
somebody should have told them.
This water that mixes like oil and water. Those suck. Also, I just
go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to point out one. It's kind of a grammatical thing. But you mentioned leaving your post during BDoc or leaving BDoc. Right. What you meant to say is that you no longer be docking. Hey,
I'm glad we stopped everything. No, I appreciate you. I really do.
I love you, man.
So I recommend
now we're be docking.
Yeah.
Now we be docking. Sorry.
Well, maybe this is too much information. I can't really dock on my end.
Well, I can.
Yeah. Cool.
I got plenty. I got enough for both of us.
Plenty to go around. Literally around.
We knew this would happen eventually.
Yeah. So anyways, read this article, listener. I highly recommend it. It's got a lot of good information here. It's not too long. It's a pretty short read. Probably clear it in like 15 minutes. A lot of secondary links that you can click on for supporting information.
Hell yeah.
If you think that Biden is genuinely ending the war in Afghanistan,
then you're a stupid poopy head.
No, let's not be. Well, that's true, but just be critical. Be critical of what people are telling you. You know.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Especially when it comes to ending war, because we will never end war.
No. Right after we end hunger, yeah.
Hillary Clinton and old Condoleezza Rice, which you'll recognize from the Bush years.
Why are they calling her Condi Rice?
I don't know.
That is bizarre. I thought that was just you fucking around, but
no. And I think she actually sometimes, like in the media, went by Condi back in the day.
Is she rebranding? Oh, did she?
Condi B or Condi R.
Nice. Condi be docking.
I gotta open up another one of these.
Woo! This is the crack open a cold one with the boys.
Audio, yeah, like a lukewarm one. It's so hot in this room right now.
Crack open a lukewarm one with the dungeon guys.
So Hillary Clinton and Condoleezza Rice told members of the House Foreign Affairs Committee they're worried about President Biden's plan to withdraw all U.S. troops from Afghanistan, with Rice suggesting the U.S. may need to go back, Axios has learned. Why it matters, the position puts two former secretaries of state, one from the Obama and Bush administrations, or from the Obama and Bush administrations, at odds with one of Biden's most significant foreign policy moves to date. The The new president has vowed to complete the withdrawal by September 11th, the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. U.S. forces were sent to Afghanistan by Rice's then boss, former President George W. Bush, to destroy havens used by the attacks organizers. So Clinton and Rice offered their reactions during a members-only Zoom call Wednesday.
Is that where you wear members-only jackets? Is that what it is? Or?
I guess, yeah. It's
members-only
weird
TM.
That we have former secretaries of state weighing in on these kind of things.
Yeah.
I mean, to like a certain degree, I can kind of see. Well, no, because neither of these people are from the last administration. So
yeah, the Bush era was chill, guys. It was fine, and it's not coming back in any notable way.
It's coming back. So basically, some people who were on the call talked about old Hill Dog and Condi B and their position on Biden's withdrawal. Hillary thinks it's a mistake, and Condoleezza Rice says we'll have to go back. Why we're still taking these people's opinions, not even in media, but this is the House Foreign Affairs Committee having a meeting and taking the advice of these two people.
Always trust consultants.
Yeah, trust consultants, especially when one of them, oversaw like an illegal invasion in another country, and then the other one also did
oversaw an illegal invasion. Right. We came, we saw,
and so
he died.
we have Condi over here on the right, going into Afghanistan and Iraq, and then Hillary would be Syria.
Libya.
Yeah, Libya and Syria.
Hell yeah, double.
Yeah, so two for each of them. That's good. Yeah.
I mean, probably more.
Probably more. That's just what we know about offhand. All right, so my final topic that I had queued up, which is we're making pretty good time here.
Hell yeah.
Is Bill
Get
Gates.
back to jerking off. Oh man, I love that guy.
Yeah.
That guy, he's doing cool stuff, and he's helping out the world.
He's saving the world. And this is on the same subject.
Just like he did with American education. He fixed that, and we are not suffering through the damage of those choices. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was talking about how the media whitewashes certain individuals, and we've gone through a couple of them now. I mean, even Condoleezza Rice and Hillary Clinton have been whitewashed in some way. Where
Bill Gates doesn't need whitewashing. This is the whitest person who's ever lived.
He was the first black president. Hold your tongue, sir.
Did I still see Bill Clinton?
Yeah, you said Bill Clinton.
I meant Bill Gates.
Oh, okay.
Bill Gates is the whitest
person.
Yes,
Bill Gates is the whitest person,
yeah.
And we'll see it in his mannerisms here. But
and his sweaters.
So the headline for this video is Bill Gates under fire for saying vaccine formulas shouldn't be shared with developing world.
Fuck yeah, Willie G.
Yeah, Bill Gates is short for William. I don't know. I don't have a joke.
Gates, but spelled like Matt Gates.
Oh yeah.
William Gates.
I was gonna make a maybe homophobic joke, but.
Oh man.
Canceled. Oh, nobody's gonna be on the podcast.
We're just replaced with a cat napping on a keyboard. Yeah.
The kitty napping dungeon.
Oh, Benzo kitty dungeon.
This interview, Bill Gates is going to lie, and I'll tell you what the lie is after we watch it.
Some speculation that the changing intellectual property rules and allowing these vaccines, as you say, the recipe for these vaccines to be shared would be helpful. Do you think that would be helpful?
No.
Why not?
Well, there's only so many vaccine factories in the world, and people are very serious about the safety.
Just gonna go ahead and nitpick here because this guy is a self-professed like healthcare expert. And
he's an everything expert.
He's an everything expert. He's a very genius person. Vaccine factories? Is that how you say it?
I mean, there are factories involved in this, but also No, I'll save it because I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say. And yeah, but go on.
That's not the right terminology. Is all I'm getting at. I worked in the pharmaceutical world.
It's probably mostly laboratories.
Yeah, that's what I would call it as a laboratory. Vaccine producing facility is like the closest thing I would get away from or get to the term factory.
Yeah.
Just a really bad and I'm nitpicking because again, this person claims to be some kind of like leading expert on public health and even worldwide health as he's making these decisions that are impacting worldwide health. And we'll talk about why he's in charge of that, because it's not that he's good at health. But we'll watch this. We'll watch this interview. So Bill Gates is saying there's only so many vaccine factories.
Serious about the safety of vaccines, and so moving something that had never been done, moving a vaccine from, say, a J&J factory into a factory in India, that it's novel. It's only because of our grants and our expertise that can happen at all. The thing that's holding things back in this case is not intellectual property. There's not like some idle vaccine factory with regulatory approval that makes magically safe vaccines.
By the way.
Yes, let's keep going.
Yeah, okay.
He's wrong on everything he's saying here.
You've got to do the trials on these things, and every manufacturing process has to be looked at in a very careful way.
What a terrible old woman.
Genius shit there. What a terrible old woman. I thought you were talking about the interview, and I was like, oh, I think she seems fine. Oh, you're talking about Bill Gates. So
he's not very masculine.
The good thing about the pharmaceutical industry is that it has a lot of very moneyed interests, and whenever you have a lot of very moneyed interests, you have a lot of people who are tracking all this as investment prospects and whatnot, right? So this is from Business Wire. Indian Vaccine Market Report and Forecast. It was written in 2017, and you'll notice that the first two words there are Indian vaccine followed up by market. So 2017, COVID-19 appeared what year? 2019?
19.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So this is 2 years before that. It turns out that over the years, India has emerged as one of the leading manufacturers of vaccines worldwide. So when Bill Gates says something that he should know as a lie, as somebody who has money invested in this industry and claims to be some kind of leading expert on public health policy, he should know that India is a leading producer of vaccines for the world. So the idea that shifting he says J&J, he's talking about Johnson & Johnson, shifting the manufacturing of a vaccine from a Johnson & Johnson vaccine factory to a factory in India as a novel thing that's only capable of happening because of his expertise, or our expertise, he says, and our grants, is patently fucking untrue. Fucking untrue. Yep. and just a blatant fucking lie. And right now India is in like a crisis, and I think it's the AstraZeneca vaccine is available for manufacture in India, but it's Johnson & Johnson is available for manufacture in India, but AstraZeneca is, I forget which one it is. Not really the point that matters here, but he's withholding some of his intellectual property so that India can't produce these vaccines on their own while they're in the middle of like a massive spike. And to be fair, the massive spike is because Modi sucks.
Right.
Not Bill Gates' fault, but he is contributing to it in a very real way by holding on to his intellectual property and saying there's not just an idle factory sitting around that's waiting for us to give them the ability to make these vaccines. Well, there are. And he talks about how you have to look at the manufacturing process in a very careful way, he says. India is making most of the vaccines in the world. India, 70% of the
Bill just
go ahead.
He needs the money.
Right. Yeah, he needs the money. He's hurting. So India exports around 70% of the vaccines that they make. these are general vaccines for, let's got a list down here. BCG, HIB, influenza, varicella, typhoid, Japanese encephalitis, measles, tetanus toxoid, hepatitis A, blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of them. So India is the primary manufacturer for the world. Turns out that 50% of global demand for various vaccines, 40% of generic demand in the US, and 25% of all medicine in the UK is provided by India. This is a country that has a very strong pharmaceutical industry in it. And when I heard Bill Gates talking about this, and again, I have the background of having worked for a pharmaceutical company, I remembered that most of our R&D staff was from India. And so I was like, wait a second. I remember we had like a shit ton of Indian biological like chemists and regular chemists, and they were all like really knowledgeable in everything they were doing. I obviously don't know enough about chemistry to say how good they were, but you know, they would explain very complex things to me all the time, and I was like, man, this guy's a fucking genius in the world of chemistry. But all that aside, you know, to have somebody like Bill Gates say that it's novel that vaccines are being made in India, when before this crisis hit, 50% of vaccines were being made in India, is just an evil lie. It's an evil lie. It is actual evil. Another statistic is that let's see. India has exported more than 66 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines to 95 countries around the world. So, you know, this whole time India has been exporting their vaccine. Might have maybe been better for them to hold on to it in some ways. I don't know. They are in a crisis right now, and it's very unfortunate. But just, you know, important things to know, that India has contributed to the world quite a lot in the way of COVID vaccines. And then to have somebody like Bill Gates, who is a billionaire, say, no, you're not capable of making this vaccine, or you're not allowed to have the intellectual property rights because we don't trust you to make the vaccine, is and he references the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which you might recall millions of them had to be recalled because Johnson & Johnson fucked it up.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's the Johnson & Johnson vaccine has affected what I think it's like.
Oh, no,
50 people.
I'm not talking about the blood clotting thing. I'm talking about there was an actual cross contamination.
Oh no, I did hear about this. Right.
Yeah, there was a this never made it to the public because the FDA stepped in. But there was an actual cross contamination with like millions of vaccines that were produced and never delivered, and they basically just had to be trashed. Which, as a quick aside, I've had lots of libertarians tell me that the FDA doesn't need to exist. And I promise you, as somebody who worked in the pharmaceutical industry, if pharmaceutical companies could get away with it, they would sell you fucking poison. They would absolutely fucking sell you poison. And I don't mean it in like the vaccine is poison sort of way. I mean, they would like just put snake oil in a fucking pill capsule and tell you to take it.
Yeah. Man, this shit is this is almost as bad as Microsoft Edge. You know, like, this is pretty bad.
Similar crimes against humanity.
Yeah.
So when we talk about Bill Gates and his interests in,
you want to explore this further?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Did you get what I?
Yeah, Explorer, Internet Explorer. I get it.
Open up the window.
Yep.
For some exploring.
So fucking hot in here.
All right, yeah.
I feel like I have like a visible glisten. I don't know.
Yeah, you're always glistening though. I mean, that's a big thing with like makeup right now, is women who like want to have like a glisten, you know, with the that's apparently a thing, and it makes me feel good for having like real mixed skin, because I'm real dry mostly, but my head and nose kind of get a little oily, and now I feel really hot. I feel sexy. So what you want to do is you want to glisten.
Yeah.
That's why I have this
we out
light
here.
above.
We out here sweating.
Yeah. All right, go on. I'm sorry.
So again,
The Belinda Gates Foundation.
When we talk about things like the pharmaceutical industry, we have the benefit of having all these people who are interested in investing in it, and so they're really tracking all this money and everything. So this is an article from the Motley Fool. I'm not endorsing any of the ideology that's going on in this article, but it does have a lot of really good information on the money that's behind Bill Gates's intellectual property dogmatism, I guess. And that's that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has quite a lot of money put into pharmaceutical companies. So the article starts out, no one has to tell Bill Gates to put his money where his mouth is. The billionaire Microsoft co-founder and his wife Melinda have been vocal proponents of fighting infectious diseases for decades. They've donated over $45 billion to charitable organizations since 1994, with much of that amount going to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The Gates Foundation has been instrumental this year in funding coronavirus vaccine programs. But the foundation hasn't just handed money over to drug makers, it's also invested in a few of them. Here are 4 coronavirus vaccine stocks that the Gates Foundation is betting on. Pfizer is the first one that they note. Gates Foundation also owns shares of the big drug maker, Pfizer. However, this wasn't initiated because of Pfizer's coronavirus program. Actually, the foundation first bought a stake in Pfizer back in 2002. And basically, they're just trying to profit off of their investment in Pfizer. And they're trying to clean it up by saying it's not because of coronavirus, it's because they could make money off of pharmaceuticals before coronavirus. BioNTech, also something that the Gates Foundation first bought a position in BioNTech in September, well before the COVID-19 pandemic hit. Invested $55 million in the biotech with the potential for total funding to reach $100 million. And the foundation's goal with this investment was to work with BioNTech to develop vaccines, etc. So basically, they're invested in all of these different vaccine producers. And, holding on to the intellectual property the way they are, they're making sure that their investments are returned, etc. And it's disgusting. And Bill Clinton does suck. Bill Gates also sucks. Yeah.
Agreed.
And that's all I had for us today, I think, which is good because we're almost we're at an hour 50 now. Yeah.
Fuck this. I'm not coming back. I mean, you're not going to let me come back anyway.
Yeah, you're canceled. I'm actually canceled. Next week.
That's true. Kitty. Benzo Kitten Dungeon.
Yeah, at Depths of Wikipedia next week, we'll be talking to a kitten that is sleeping. We will try to find a cute kitten.
You have one.
Yeah, but I want an actual kitten. She's a full-grown cat.
She doesn't look like it.
Yeah, she's a little sweetie.
Yeah, I like cats. You guys like cats? Listener, if the listener likes cats, let us know. Let us know if you like cats.
So let's go ahead and do some. Excuse me. This Coors Banquet is just hitting the wrong spots.
It's just so filling.
Yeah, it's very heavy. So you want to do any plugs?
So we started up the asynchronous seminar on ideology in the for the forum. You can pop into that by going again to the Patreon for the workshop, patreon.com/Truncata, TRUNCATA. And also at the end of this month, May 29th, I think, the last Saturday of the month, we're going to have an open workshop that anyone can get in on. We're still deciding on the theme, but yep, you're invited, and I hope that I see you there. We'll update you.
Cool. And then for myself, I would just like to let the listener know that you can email us a question at BenzoRehabQuestions@gmail.com. I have been checking it before our recordings, and sadly, the last question I got was whether or not I wanted a larger penis. So
do you?
No, I don't want any penis at all. Actually, I think it's not really doing anything for me.
They're messy.
They are messy.
You know, I don't know.
Good time to sign
people
off.
are weird about that. All right, bye.
Hey, if you listen to this whole thing, we thank you very much for listening. We love you. Please take your medicine.
Please take mine too.
Hi, Michael Deebs here, with no gun pointed at my head. Please know that all content created for the Benzo Rehab Dungeon is and always will be freely available. However, if you would like to support this creation of content, we here at Camp Benzo would appreciate it, as the production itself is not free of cost. Anything donated will go to covering the various subscription fees maintained for content production or improving and expanding the content produced. If you are able to, please head on over to patreon.com/BenzoRehabDungeon. We also have shirts for sale on Teespring, all priced as low as we can get them without turning much or any profit. They are mostly so that you can show your loved ones that a necessary intervention may be on the horizon. Links to the merchandise storefront and our various social media profiles can be found on our link tree, which is the word linktr.ee/BenzoRehabDungeon. As always, we love you. Please take your medicine.